Aerosmith has announced that they will stop touring forever because Steven Tyler's vocal injuries are too much to be recovered from. Let's talk about Steven Tyler and what this means for Disney parks and their rock and roller coaster attraction here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is a rock fan, Mr. VashSky. Usually I like to be a little bit silly with this, but every now and then I'll come in here to get set up, and Vash will have some heavy metal music playing in the background.
Absolutely, 100%. It's the only way to, it's like the breakfast of champions, Jonas. The only way to wake up and get ready for the day, and some amazing videos that we bring to you at least twice a day, every single day.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not necessarily the biggest hard rock fan. I got nothing against it, but I did have an Aerosmith phase here. So let's talk about this for just a moment before we talk about the Disney aspect of it. This is not going to be that negative a video, even though we are talking about a negative subject here. Aerosmith announces retirement from touring, says Steven Tyler's recovery from vocal injury not possible. Play our music loud now and always. Dream on. You've made our dreams come true, the band said in a statement. This article by Lexi Perez. There he is, right there, Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. The band shared a statement on social media on Friday announcing the news, citing lead singer Steven Tyler's vocal cord injury as the reason. Let's read this. It was 1970 when a spark of inspiration became Aerosmith. Thanks to you, our Blue Army, that spark caught flame and has been burning for over 5 decades. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and all of you are the reason we made rock and roll history. It has been the honor of our lives to have our music become part of yours. In every club, on every massive tour, and at moments grand and private, you have given us a place in the soundtrack of your lives. We've always wanted to blow your mind when performing. As you know, Steven's voice is an instrument like no other. He has spent months tirelessly working and getting his voice to where it was before the injury. We've seen him struggling despite having the best medical team by his side. Sadly, it is clear that a full recovery from his vocal injury is not possible. We've made a heartbreaking and difficult but necessary decision as a band of brothers to retire from the touring stage. We are grateful beyond words for everyone who is pumped to get on the road with us one last time. Grateful to our expert crew, our incredible team, and the thousands of talented people who've made our historic runs possible. As a final thank you to you, the best fans on the planet Earth. Play our music loud now and always. Dream on. You've made our dreams come true. Wow. That's kind of hard to read. I'll say Aerosmith, obviously, the boys from Boston, they've been popular beyond most bands, and they've kind of transcended their own genre in a way. Obviously, their biggest hit is not really indicative of their sound. I think the only number one hit ever was Don't Want to Miss a Thing, which is a song that Steven Tyler frequently mocks whenever he talks about it in interviews, which, I love that about him. He's a fascinating guy. And when I listen to Aerosmith, I think about Steven Tyler sings like he is playing an instrument, and Joe Perry plays guitar like he is singing through the guitar. It's a fascinating back and forth between the two of them. And I don't think there's anybody that's like that. I think they're better than the Rolling Stones. Obviously, that's something that would probably get me in trouble with some portion of the audience here. I think that they're like an American, I don't want to say they're an American Beatles, but they're so influential, and their sound is so important. And to bring it back to the focus of this channel, I think that's the reason why they have their own theme park ride at a Disney park. And Rock and Roller Coaster is so cool because of Aerosmith. And yes, it has been edited because of Steven Tyler. Vash, were you aware of this? Was this one of the things that I caught you on that you didn't know that it was in there and then it was fixed, or did you know the entire time?
I believe I knew. I believe I'd heard of it before, but apparently the legend has it that Steven Tyler made a gesture on the recording for
Shocking
that
gesture, yes.
Yes, for the recording for that pre-show, and it wasn't caught for years and years and years until somebody brought it to somebody's attention, and then I believe they brought them back to re-record it, right? And And that's the version that we have now.
Yeah, they either brought them back to re-record it or they did a digital change. It's fascinating. It took the internet being invented and for that to get around in order for them to change it, because Rock and Roller Coaster was a pre-internet ride. If it were modern Disney, you would know every single thing that's going into that. They would do a video, a POV of the entire ride, and you would know every single aspect of it, other than the feeling of actually going on this roller coaster. What's fascinating is that everyone is talking about when the ride will change at this point, which I don't want it to change at this point. I've been in videos. So the first video I did with WDW Pro, in fact, was talking about whether or not they would change it, because there were some allegations that ended up going away that that Steven Tyler, he had a girlfriend that was underage, which was a lot more common at the time. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying it was more common at the time for rock stars to have underage girlfriends. That she came out of the woods and issued some allegations against him. And those did go away. Whether or not it was a settlement, I don't think it was a settlement, or proven false. Disney ended up reopening the ride after maintenance and not changing it. However, the speculation was that they were going to change it. So this is where we want to get into a little history. But Vash, why don't you take it away?
Yes, well, it's quite fascinating because Rock and Roller Coaster, if I'm not mistaken, Aerosmith wasn't their first choice, but boy, oh boy, when it made its debut, this was a game-changing coaster, that is for sure. I believe it was Vekoma who actually did the track work on this, and well, it definitely feels like it when you actually ride it today. It's a little rough now. Probably is due for a track redo.
See, I just thought it was that I was getting old.
No. These things get rougher over time, Jonas. Believe me, they absolutely do. But I mean, just an incredible coaster. Obviously, a first of many different things. One of the first in Disney's pantheon of coasters to actually have an onboard soundtrack. Now, they did do that at Space Mountain Disneyland Paris, but for the States, it was one of the first and was, inspired by Imagineers actually taking their Walkmans and so forth onto Space Mountain, either at Disneyland or Walt Disney World, and playing a soundtrack there. And it was like, wouldn't it be nice. Cool if?
Must be right? Nice.
Exactly. And so, to bring this coaster to life was very cool. And obviously it did make its debut overseas at Disneyland Paris, not in the Paris park, but the Walt Disney Studios park, now Disney Adventure World. Oh boy. And well, it was redone into Avengers Campus. And that kind of brings us to today. There have been conversations in the past about maybe changing it over to not only just a Disney specific IP, but it's like, okay, if we're going to keep the band theme, what about the Jonas Brothers? Yes, that was a conversation that actually happened at one point. And there have been attempts to, okay, well, could we do something that's like Marvel themed, for example? And I believe the Genesis idea that would make its way out to Disneyland Paris, I think, was for specifically the version back at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And well, that's the other thing too. This was just an attraction that was incorporated as part of the kind of the Sunset Strip there for that park, and really kind of revolutionized that park as being kind of an e-ticket hub for Walt Disney World with Tower of Terror next door. Fascinating history and so forth. But I think there have been conversations about, okay, what do we do with it now? I think in the very near term, I think Disney should keep this ride in the near term. There's obviously going to be a renewed interest in Aerosmith following this very tragic announcement from the band. They were already going on a farewell tour. I believe they announced that in May of 2023. So I would keep it around for now if I was Disney, and then maybe change it out, I don't know, 5 years from now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And there's history on things like that happening. Like when Michael Jackson passed, I think they brought back Captain EO for a little while there. Obviously, that has since gone away. It switched to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and then back to Captain EO for that. And that's fine. It was actually pretty difficult to find Captain EO merch at the time. There are, of course, always rumors about what is going to go into that spot. I think the rumors are always fascinating. And this seems like a good spot to bring up this video of Ken Marino. He's part of the middle-aged dad jam band. But this clip here, it's Alicia Stella who put the video out. And, well, it's just fascinating.
About going on the Aerosmith roller coaster. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. What?
So the Disney World Aerosmith roller coaster has a little pre-show as you're waiting in line. Many years ago, I recorded with Aerosmith and Ileana Douglas the pre-show, where it's supposed to seem like as you're waiting in line, you see an empty music studio, recording studio, and behind that there's a sound mixer, and that's me. I'm the sound mixer, and then Aerosmith comes in, and they're like, "Hey man, there's people waiting in line. You got to get on a ride." And then Ileana Douglas is the manager. You can pull it up on YouTube. It exists.
I remember that very well.
And I didn't have any lines. I just was playing with the
So this is a video you see.
Yes, but it was shot to look like it was real. It was shot like on what do you call it? IMAX.
Yeah.
So it was very crystal clear.
Yeah, it looks like you're really there.
Right.
It looks like you're there, apparently.
Yeah.
I've never been on the ride.
Where is this ride?
This is Disney
Rock
World.
and roller coaster.
Rock and roller coaster.
You never went on the ride?
Never went on the ride.
Oh my god.
This doesn't
But
exist
now
anymore.
they're changing the
Bye-bye.
ride. Now it's going to be a Queen ride.
Oh wow.
But for many years I was in that, and I would see a lot of people, and I did a lot of non-verbal acting.
First of all, I need to point out, obviously, this is from more than a year ago, and it hasn't happened. But this one made me go, ooh, 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 because I had said in that video with Bro, you know what they ought to do? They ought to make it Queen. And then I see this, and I think, uh-oh, did we move the needle here unintentionally? Because over here, Ken Marino says, and by the way, we didn't. I just want a spoiler alert on that. Ken Marino did say, according to all of this, I have no idea what they are changing it to. Someone said that to me at some point, so then I said it. It was more of a rumor than anything else, I suppose. Maybe it's going to be the new Billie Holiday ride. Could be good. He's a comedian, so therefore he responds in that way. So it turns out it didn't really move the needle there because of a bunch of other reasons that I'll tell you about. We thought that the reasons that I thought of at the time were that, first of all, Queen is a catalog that is owned under Hollywood Records, which of course is owned by the Walt Disney Company. So it made sense that they would want something that they wouldn't have to pay all of those rights for. Two, Freddie Mercury is no longer with us, which is the kind of creator that Disney would prefer to work with, someone who cannot voice opinions that would negatively impact the company in any way. And forgive me, they're not as worried about Brian May or the remaining members of Queen on that level. Also, obviously, Freddie Mercury was gay, and so therefore that would check some boxes. But he also has mass market appeal because most people that are aware of Queen's music were already aware of that a long time ago and are not worried about his presence around kids because he's not going to be corrupting any kids because the music was for adults, but then also enjoyed by kids at parents' discretion. So not a really big deal there. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that it's no longer on the table as the Queen catalog has now been acquired by Sony for $1 billion. That's 1 billion pounds. So even more than $1 billion here. This is June 19th. So just a few months ago here, Sony Music is in process for this. By the way, at the time, Disney said, absolutely not. The Queen catalog is not for sale. But here it is, of course, for sale at the time. This is when Disney was hard up for cash as well, that they were saying, no, definitely not being sold. But whatever. Go ahead.
Wasn't Bohemian Rhapsody was also like a very, very popular movie and did very unbelievably well at the box office?
Yeah. Which that movie also distributed by Fox and therefore under Disney's control as well. No word on whether or not they would stick the poster for that in the queue. But, G-Force Records, I can see there being a Freddie Mercury in there for G-Force Records. Have Ken Marino or maybe even Christopher Walken come in, He puts on his pants like everybody else, but when he does it, he makes gold records. Sorry, I don't know why I've incorporated another Christopher Walken impression into these videos. But that being said, Disney does own the rights to Electric Mayhem. There was a rumor at some point that they were going to put Electric Mayhem, which is the Muppets band, into the ride. I think that's the more likely one, except that would be showing respect to the Muppets, which is something that Disney doesn't do these days. So that being said, Vash, what do you think?
Well, I was hoping for maybe Blue Oyster Cult, and then we would get Will Ferrell in there asking for more cowbell. That would have been pretty cool. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, because they got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
There you go.
What a space.
But some people have been speculating as to what they should retheme it to if they are going to retheme this ride soon. I believe a retheme is inevitable at this point. It's going to happen at some time. So a lot of people have been kind of putting their theories out there. And one tweet caught my eye. This is from Road Trip Dave. Retheming is a complete waste of money, especially if you're talking about the resort's most popular rides. You'd think Splash Mountain would be a valuable lesson, but you have too many noisy harpies who just say ma peas. They need a more relevant ride. I think that's absolutely correct. Not everything has to be 100% groundbreaking or extremely relevant or whatever. It's okay to let rides be, at least for a short while. I think in the very immediate post-mortem after this huge announcement from Aerosmith, is keep the ride how it is, and maybe we circle back on those rights there. Now, one of my favorite little tidbits about this attraction is the pre-show actually used to have featured cast members that I think there's a line in the pre-show from one of the bandmates that says, hey, grab my guitar, would you? And the cast member used to actually go out and grab a guitar and then bring it to them, kind of thing. It was really cool. It was like, it made that scene more believable and far more interesting. I wish they would get back to some of that stuff, but c'est la vie. It's definitely a time capsule, that's for sure.
You know what's funny is the last attraction that I was on that incorporated that kind of back and forth between the existing show with the stars and the cast member. It was Fast and Furious Supercharged at Universal Studios. Best part of the ride, in my opinion, but may that ride go away as soon as possible, despite the excellent cast members over there at Universal. That being said, what do you think? What should, when they do eventually change this ride, what do you think it should be changed to? And let's keep the Jonas Brothers comments to a minimum. I know some people like to go for the low-hanging fruit there, but me and my brothers, we want to be left out of this to live a quiet life like that Meghan Markle over there. Like this video, if you like this video, of course, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.